all to share your story, but somebody else may be able to learn something from that person sharing their story. So we don't want to discourage people from wanting to share because we can't keep it in the circle.
Right.
Also respect everyone's opinions, even if you don't agree. If somebody shares something that you think is outlandish, we don't need to know that you think that's outlandish. We want to make this a place where everybody feels comfortable being themselves. And then, of course, interact. We would love for you guys to talk back to us, ask us questions. There is a chat feature in Zoom, so feel free to use the chat function if you have a question, and then we'll try and catch these questions as they come through the chat. And if there's a situation where we may need a little more clarity from you, we'll definitely, call you out based on your name from the question so that you can give us a little more clarity. And in those situations, we ask that you try and keep your questions or comments, succinct, because obviously we only have 60 minutes. And last I checked, there were probably 300 or so people registered. It's not how many are on currently, but we want to make sure we have enough time to get through as many questions as possible.
Right, because we're trying, even in this 60-minute period, as we go through the different sessions, we'll probably have 30 to 45 minutes of lesson.
Yeah.
And then we're going to try and leave, 10 to 15 minutes at the end. I mean, you can, as Kimberly has already said, type the questions as we're going along, but we want to definitely try and leave that amount of time that if we don't get all the questions answered during that time, that we can do it at the end. So right off the bat, you see on the screen, we're just kind of give an overview of what we're going to be talking about in each of these different sessions. This is an open financial fitness series. So what that means is you are not required to attend every single session. You may choose them all, or you can jump in and out and only,
whichever one's best suit you.
That's right. Some of you may not even need budget basics. Maybe that's why some people aren't on tonight who've registered. They really only want to wait until we get to the investing. That is fine. There are no requirements whatsoever about which ones you want to attend. But we try to think through what we thought starting at the basics and moving all the way up to investing, and set up the series in that kind of format. So as you can see for tonight, session 1, we're going to be doing the overview and talking about some general tips and guides, pointers that we've learned in terms of preparing a budget, because we're going to want to get you guys a budget. So tonight we're going to be preparing you for budgets and talking about some of those general terms.
Absolutely. So I think we're even going to share with you guys 2 documents that you'll get after the class, because you're going to have some homework. Listen. Here's question number 1. What does the Bible say? Faith without works is
dead.
Come on, I need you to be my sack.
Dead.
so y'all are going to have some homework. But again, we really are encouraging you to take the homework assignment seriously, because it's going to help really set you up for the future, and it's something that you can continue to use over and over again. And then, so in session 2, we'll walk through the actual homework assignment, and I'm sure you guys will have questions based on that. So we'll really kind of dive in a little deeper in our second session.
Because after that session, we want everyone to have their own personal budget for your household, whether you're married or whether you're single. By that session's end, you should have a working document that will be your guide as we continue through the remaining sessions. And so after September the 23rd, on October the 7th, we're going to be talking about getting your credit together, the importance of having good credit, why it's so important, and also bankruptcy, because we've had a lot of questions from people about, should I file bankruptcy? What type of bankruptcy should I file? What are the repercussions? Because there's a lot of myths out there surrounding, and then there's a lot of good information. So we want to discern too for you. And hopefully, again, for those of you who may need credit repair, we're going to be giving you some tips on how to do it. There are, lots of ways to do it, and we're going to go into that detail.
And then on October 21st, we're going to get into planning for big purchases. So whether for you that means buying a car or buying a house, or preparing to go to college or go back to school and maybe having to take out loans.
Or having babies.
Or being,
babies cost money. We had married couples that said, I wish somebody had told us babies cost so much money. Yes, they do. That's a big purchase.
And we should probably plan for
That's correct.
So we're gonna kind of talk through all of that. Because
how do you plan for that? You just don't jump up and go buy a car. Yeah, hopefully not.
But we're gonna walk y'all through that. So if you have, that's all right. We're gonna try and reel it back in a little bit and make sure we are set up for the next time we go to make a big purchase. But yeah, well, definitely planning for big purchases, because those kind of lock you in. It's not something you can't turn a house.
No. And that's why it's so important that you have your budget prepared first, because if you're thinking about making a big purchase, I'm telling you, please wait until we go through that session so that we can show you how to incorporate that planned purchase into your budget so that it does not become one of those things where you say, well, I know God bless me. I don't understand why I can't pay for it now. Yeah, we're going to tell you why. All right, then on November the 4th, we're going to have a special guest that's going to be joining us.
Hopefully so.
Hopefully, yes, it's going to be a professional, because when we start talking about estate planning, we can get into trust, retirement, wills, all those things that are very, very important. And we've already told you, we're not the experts. So we're going to have the experts here for you that can tell you about the different annuities, insurances that you can buy. Make sure you got your estate in order, because after you've saved all this money, you don't want Uncle Sam to take it all in estate taxes or you just lose it. So we're going to make sure that you are ready for retirement, and then keep as much of it as you can and not give it to IRS.
And I know, some of you on the call may be young and thinking, I don't need that. I don't need that session. But I would encourage you to still attend the session, because you're never too young to start planning for retirement. I'm planning for retirement, and it's so far from the distance. But if life goes as it has been, I turned 30 and I was like, man, I felt like I was just 21 and able to live it up. Life comes at you fast, so I would definitely encourage you to still come to that session. And then the last one, November 18th, is now that we got our budget together, our credit is in order, we can buy a house, we've put some extras to the side for retirement, for savings, and all that good stuff. Be ready to invest. A lot of y'all have been asking for an investment class. Y'all want to talk about the stock market.
Y'all want to talk about that
mutual funds, all that good stuff. So that is going to be our concluding session.
And I can't wait for that. That's fun. I love that.
I
love that stock market.
She loves it. Absolutely. But we thought, when Dr. Scott and her team asked us about preparing for, and I'll go ahead and stop sharing my screen.
Yeah.
But when Dr. Scott asked us when we'd like to start our classes, we thought it would be perfect timing to go ahead and start it and end it right before the holidays, because y'all know some of us with Black Friday, although it's gonna be a little different now because of COVID, but Black Friday, holiday shopping can get the best of us, and the end of the year is here, and now we can go on our savings plan.
Yeah.
So we're hoping that we're gonna teach through these next 6 courses or 6 sessions, and hopefully prepare you for whatever it is to come, and encourage you not to blow your budget or blow whatever during the holiday season.
Yeah, so you've already have a question about the slides. Will they be available? Yes, they will be available to you. You won't have to write down a lot of the information that you're seeing on the slide, on the shared screen that Kimberly put up. That's why we want to make sure that everybody is registered for this class. We will be sending you through email those budget worksheets and the slides that we will put up so that you'll have it available for you as we go forward. So in the future, you'll have it in advance. And like, as we said tonight, before we finish, you'll be getting your budget worksheet and your tracker sheets when we give you your homework assignment. So you won't have to do that. All right. So with that, if there are any things that you did not see that you thought we should cover that's important to you, please feel free to put it in the chat. Did we ever get our email set up? Do you know if we get that?
Our email is set up. And I guess I could have shared before I stopped sharing the screen.
Okay. Do you have that?
Yes. So I'm going to put it in the chat. Our email address is financialfitness@themountainleads.org. And so I just put that in the chat as well. So if of course, during the session, you can go ahead and put your questions in the chat. But if something comes up tonight or between tonight and next time we meet, or if you want to remain anonymous and not ask your questions in front of the group, feel free to go ahead and shoot us an email. Sorry, I'm trying to catch the question. Shoot us an email at financialfitness@themountainleads.org. leads.org.
Okay. All right. We're gonna jump
let's
right
do
in.
it.
Yeah. I will go ahead and answer this question because it is not one of the things that's in our financial fitness program, but it is something that a lot of people have been asking us about. So I will, just kind of step out just a little bit and answer the question about this payroll tax deferral that our president has implemented. This is what's happening with that, people. This is a loan. Yep. All right. What's happening with that is the the president is allowing employers to stop withholding Medicare and Social Security from your paychecks. And we all know that's a big bite. Basically, that's 7% of your gross salary that you see coming out of your paycheck. So what he has allowed to happen is employers can stop withholding that through December. So that would be a nice chunk going back into your payroll. As I said, roughly 7%. And so you're excited right now. But the other side is becoming in January, you have to pay it back. So not only will you be having the regular 7% coming out of your paycheck, you will have the additional 7% that was not withheld during this last quarter being paid back. So it's going to be a big burden to someone, yeah. Right? So if you really need that 7% and you're spending it now, think about what's going to happen the first quarter of January when you're going to have the 7% come out in addition to paying back that 7% that you did not have withheld in the last quarter. So basically, it's an interest-free loan that they're giving you for the last quarter that you can pay back during the first quarter. So my advice, and again, everybody's situation is different, but my advice, if your employer participates and they allow you to choose an option of whether to do it or not, my advice to you would be not to do it. Just let them take 7% out and keep it rolling. Okay, so that's kind of where we are. All right, we're just going to jump right in right now to some of the things we're going to talk about, because a couple of things we want to make sure we cover so that you're ready for your homework assignment as we're beginning to prepare for making our own personal household budgets. And one of the things that we were asked to talk about is communication and how important that is, especially, as I already said, I know we got a lot of married couples that are registered, and then we have some singles as well. So I want to talk from obviously the married couple perspective.
One day I'm going to.
And Kimberly is going to talk to you from the singles perspective, but it's just as relevant, and you'll see, we're actually talking about, and that's communication. Because one of the things we were asked to talk about is before a couple can really sit down and do a budget together, they have to be able to communicate. They have to be on the same page in terms of what are the goals that you're trying to achieve together as a couple. Again, I always say, what works in your household, if it works, it works. So there's never a right or a wrong answer about how you should handle your financial affairs, whether you should have, one bank account, 5 bank accounts, joint accounts, his account, her account, whatever works for you works, but you have to be on the same page with that. And what you're going to find when you sit down to start thinking about and preparing your budget and putting your income down, I understand we do have some couples who each other don't necessarily know what the other makes. You set up your household and you just pay this bill and I'll pay that bill, and then whatever's left is mine and what's yours is yours. If that works for you, as we said, it works. What we have just found, though, is it's not necessarily the most conducive and positive way to getting to your goals quicker and faster. Because as a couple, we think that we should be working together toward those goals. And if not, you may get into those communication issues about who makes more. And if I make more, then I make all the decisions because you don't make enough and things like that. And that can create some tension when it comes to the budget. Because you got to remember, the budget is simply a plan. It's not in concrete. It's your guide to help you achieve the goals that you together say you want to achieve. So for an example, if you say you want to have a car note, and the car note you put in the budget is $500, Well, when you go out and look for a car and the payment is going to be $800, it's not one spouse or the other that's saying no.
Budget saying
Your
no.
budget is saying no because you sat down together as a couple and said our budget can only support $500, because we have counseled a lot of couples that will say, well, she telling me no. How's she gonna tell me no? I go to work every day just like she does. Well, if you've done a budget, it's not either spouse. And somebody, couples, listen to me. There's always one. One is usually the spender and one is usually the saver. So whoever is the saver, let them be the one to manage. Again, not say yes or no, not be in charge, but simply to manage what you two have agreed to as your goal. And when you're talking to each other, always address it that way. Say, our budget says no. I'm not saying no. Our budget says no. And so if the car, using that same example of $800 is really what you decide you want to do, then you guys obviously have to sit back down and readjust your budget, make some decisions, and see if 800 will work. Because if it doesn't work, I'm telling you, we all know, because we've all been there, there's going to be some stress. You're going to get that car anyway, because y'all going to be promising you're going to work a part-time job and I'll make it work and I'll cut out Starbucks and I'll stop doing this and you stop for about a week. And then next thing you know, the car payment due and y'all fussing and you're looking at each other. I know, I see a whole lot of y'all shaking your heads. I know, we've been there. So that's why we're trying to help you with some of these tips right now up front, to help you to understand that you need to sit down right now and say, are we going to be on the same page? Are we going to agree to what our numbers say we can afford? And as it relates to bank accounts and things like that, you know, I'm an advocate for
joint accounts.
Joint and separate. Joint and separate.
Separate but joint.
You know, what's his is mine, or what's mine is mine. No. But here is my philosophy on that. Again, what works in your house, works in your house. How do you know it works in your house? Y'all not fussing.
Everybody happy.
Everybody happy. Now, if y'all got individual accounts, but y'all fussing, that ain't working. All right, y'all see that? Okay, so here is my rule of thumb. What I have seen is that even when you have joint accounts, everybody needs their own money. You're all grown, everybody's working, and I should not have to ask my spouse to buy a dress or to buy a bag of chips or to buy a cup of coffee, right? Because nobody's trying to act like I'm a little child. Oh, I hear you, girl. I see you, girl. I see you. You know, I'm not a little child. So in your budgeting process, as you're beginning to pull together your budget, think about allowances for each other. How much can my budget support that after each paycheck? I get $50. I mean, again, whatever your budget supports after bills, $50 is mine. Now I get to do whatever I want to do with that $50, which means if I save all my $50 so that at the end of the month I can go out dressed, I can go out dressed because I've saved my own $50. If they want to just spend their whole 50 and be broke to the next time, then they can spend their own 50 and be broke to their own time. So that's what I mean by separate accounts. There should be some allotted amount of money that each of you can have to do with what you want. And the rest should be put into the joint account to achieve the goals that you're trying to achieve and to pay your household bills. Now, again, I say household bills because we both live in the house. We both drive the car. We both eat the food. We both use the utilities, because I'm telling you, I know this sounds real simple, but I'm telling you, we've counseled to the point where somebody said, well, I pay the utility bill. They better cut them lights out. And then y'all in the house fussing because somebody leave the lights on and the other person paying the bill. I see y'all telling y'all are sitting there like, yeah. So that's why I said, you know, it's joint bills. It takes a whole lot of stress if we are paying the bills, because then we appreciate turning the lights out because it's not one or the other who's doing it. But again, do what works for you. I'm just trying to get your mind thinking through some of these things. Kimberly, you talked about
I
having
wanted,
different accounts.
Yeah, I wanted to jump in because I know Elder has talked a lot from the married perspective, and I know there are a lot of people on the call that are also single like me. And so while I'm not married and I don't have a joint his, hers, or whatever the account is, I do have various accounts, right? So there are different things that I am saving towards. So I have, for example, a checking account and a savings account with Wells Fargo, but then I have a separate savings account at a whole other bank, which is like my real deal big girl savings. So that's the money that if I touch this money, I'm in trouble. Something wrong. It's a struggle right now. And so with that third account, it is not even attached there. I can't write a check from it. I don't regularly have access to it. So I have to consciously go to the bank in order to pull money from this account. And that helps me to not just be out at brunch and then want to mimosas for everybody or whatever the case is. So I try and keep that totally separate, but I also have my paycheck, my monthly or my biweekly paycheck split so that a portion of my paycheck automatically goes into that account that I don't even touch in my normal operating account. So that money I don't even ever, it's not a part of my normal budget. That's so Correct. Whatever my savings is, I put over there. Or for example, y'all know I love to travel. So I have opened up another savings account where I'll put and I don't fund it as regularly, obviously, as my normal savings accounts. But when I have a little extra, maybe I didn't buy that $50 dress, I can throw it into my destination savings account so that when COVID is over, my friends and I can go on vacation and I'm not sitting here trying to scramble to figure out how I can afford it, or if I got to swipe my credit card and hopefully be able to pay it back before they start kicking interest in and all that kind of stuff. So I save for different things. So I still have multiple accounts,
even though you're single.
Although I'm single.
Yeah. And so what we're trying to just say to you, these are just some tips and ideas of ways to start thinking about your budget. So while she may be doing her quote unquote budgeting by having different accounts, she's got a travel account, she's got her emergency savings account, she's got her I hope I never have to touch it account. Those are the kind of things that you want to work into your budget and should be a budgetary line item. And these are the things that we don't think about. Now, in our household, it's the same way. I'm the traveler, so I guess she inherited that from me, but Bishop don't ever have to take a trip. He's a homebody. If we never go anywhere, he's happy. Fine. But when we put our budget together, we had a line item called vacation because we're not going to have a budget if I don't have a vacation line in there and I want to go somewhere every year. But there's nothing wrong with that as long as you plan for it. So when you start thinking about your homework for this next week or so before we meet together again, be honest about what's important, because what happens is if you're not, you don't budget for it, but then you get angry and you say, we going on a vacation, and you go, but what do? You swipe it, and now you're in trouble because now you got some more debt because you did not plan for things. So whether it's babysitters, you go out, even if it's to the movie or dinner when COVID is over, we don't budget for babysitting. You need to. We don't budget for going to the movies. You need to. We don't budget for, having that Starbucks. So what we want you to do is think about and communicate with each other what is important to you so that when you do your budget, you'll have those things in it.
Absolutely. And so we also will give y'all, in addition to the budget worksheet, we'll give you a spending tracker. So you'll have two worksheets that you'll get. I got a little pop-up. And so you'll see that. So in the budget is the things that we know right off, but I think in the spending tracker, it will be those random, I decided to go to Starbucks, or I decided to go to brunch, or I decided to go out. And so that's what's going to really be the most important, because that's the stuff that we'll budget, and
we don't budget. We tend not to budget.
No, we budget for everything else.
Right.
And this is what correct. I'm guilty of. So you'll budget, say, oh yeah, I know I got to pay Virginia Natural Gas. I know I got to pay Dominion. And then you didn't go on the brunch 5 times this month with your friends, and you'll check that bank account balance because now you got another bill due, and that balance is $50.
Correct.
But your bill is $75.
Yes.
So the spending tracker will help to catch. And again, it's only as good as you are honest with yourself about really tracking those miscellaneous items so that you can see. And I know that if I do it with y'all, I'm gonna be ashamed to show y'all. I would be ashamed to show y'all how much I spend on food. I mean, it's ridiculous.
But what it's going to do though is really open your eyes to see where your money is going, because the average individual that really has trouble with their finances, it's not because you don't have enough money to pay your bills. It's because you really don't track the things that you don't keep in the forefront of your mind. All these miscellaneous, all during the day, all during the week, breakfast, lunch, and dinner that you're eating out, coffee that you're buying. Yeah. And so we want you to track all that. And so each of you have your own individual tracker. We're going to give it to you, send it to you. And we just want you to keep it with you. And every time you swipe, every time you buy something, I don't care if it's a 5-cent piece of bubble gum, put it on that piece of paper so that at the end of the week, you can actually see where your money is going.
Somebody commented and said, Amazon Smile gonna tell on me. They're gonna tell on me too. But I support the Elders House every time I can.
That's right. If you use the Smile Amazon, please be sure to select the Elders House as your charity of choice.
Absolutely. So I don't know if you want to look at the budget.
Yeah, because we're almost there.
All right, so I'm gonna share my screen again. Which one do you want to look at first, the budget or
the spend tracker first?
Okay. So this is the first of the 2 worksheets that you guys will get. And we've started off very basic, just kind of, so you have you have a column for each day of the week. And then we've started listing some of the items that we know, and probably because I'm this person that you kind of spend on. And so what we'd want you to do is to just go ahead so if Sunday we're not going to church anymore, but let's say Monday.
Start tomorrow, Thursday. You don't have to wait till the beginning of the week. So start tomorrow.
You on the way into work and you stop at McDonald's to get some breakfast. You go ahead and put that $5 here. And so we want you, so if you go breakfast, lunch, and dinner Thursday, then this box will be real full. And so we want you to go ahead, and this will actually be in Excel, so you can, it'll total, I'll put the formulas in, so it'll total for you. And so we want you to literally list everything. So, but we don't want you to just be limited to what we have listed here: gas, food, clothes, and entertainment. If there is anything else that you're spending on, Netflix, that's why you got all these rows down here. Yep, absolutely.
Amazon.
So that you can fill them in. We just wanted to kind of give you an idea of some of those things that we know we kind of spend money on regularly. So we want you to work through this tracker
until we meet again.
At least until we meet again. You know, week would be good. The whole 2 weeks would be great. But this will just really, like I said earlier, give you a clear view of how much excess spending we're
and how much you should actually factor into your budget. Absolutely. Because again, when we get back together in this 2-week period, we're going to ask you to take a look at your spending tracker. And if you find that you really do eat breakfast out and this is what you average a week, then you need to factor that into your budget, or you need to be honest and say, whoo, I really do need to cut that out, because that would be $200-300 a month that we could be saving to make our budget balance. But if you have those that extra money and you can work it in, then please, please, please make it a part of your budget. This is why the spending tracker is so important.
Absolutely. So I'm gonna share our budget. Yes, that is it. Thanks.
Okay, so the next thing we're going to get you, and this comes straight out of my book, The Miseducation of the Christian. So those of you who have that book already, it's in the back of the book, but we're going to send it to you. We're going to send it to you as an Excel spreadsheet. So again, as you drop your numbers in, the formulas are going to already be there. So it'll do the adding and everything for you. But what we wanted to show you on this budget, the way I've prepared it, is, you know, you can see your income. You're going to be dropping it in at the top. And, you know, if it's an Excel spreadsheet, you can add additional lines if you need it for additional other income. But basically, we're going to put down all of our income. And I suggest you start with your net income, because taxes come out and you don't have that to spend. So we're talking about spendable dollars. So put your net pay in as your wages, and of course your interest and your dividends. And then you'll see the first section of my Budget building says basic needs, expenses, basic needs. And then I have another section that talks about your wants. And then we talk about your desires. Now, this is what I want you to understand. When you're putting together your budget, the first things that should go on there are what is your basic need. Can you slide back down for me, Kimberly? Mm-hmm. Basic is what you need to simply survive. Now, of course, the first thing you do is pay your tithes and pay yourself. Now, I'm hoping and praying that everybody is going to put their 10% tithe down right off the top. And of course, I'm hoping you can also put 10% down for savings. Now, some of you may have to back totally out of that because your numbers may not work, but I'm an advocate that you pay not only God, but then you pay yourself, because that's those funds that you're going to be able to use when we get ready to go to the investment in the stock market. If you don't have excess money to save when you finish your budget, no need to join us on the last session, because I'm not going to be suggesting that you invest money that you need to pay your bills. So if you look at the list of things that are under basic needs, you can see we're talking about your mortgage, your rent, your child care. And even though I have clothing down there, we're not talking about a shopping spree. We're talking about clothing that you need, in pre-COVID days, one pair of jeans and one pair of sneakers. Not 50 pair of jeans and 50 pair of sneakers, just your, I hear people laughing, just your basic needs. Same thing with groceries, y'all. I mean, I say this, and I know it sounds funny and it sounds ludicrous that I got to say this when we're doing a budget, but you'd be amazed at people that will have $1,000 down there as groceries, or, because you're buying all this elaborate stuff. Or I'll have people going the other way. They'll put $200 down there, knowing full well you spend that in 1 week, come on, you're gonna eat off of that for a month. No, you need to put down what you really do spend for groceries. And most of you swipe those debit cards. So some of you can go back to your bank statements and pull off of those bank statements to see how much did you really spend for groceries in a month. And use that number, and that's the number that goes in there. And of course, that's why we like it being in an Excel spreadsheet, because you're gonna probably have to go back and change some of these numbers as you get to the end, and you keep seeing you negative, because at the end you're not going to be negative. You got to at least be at zero. So be honest with that. And again, when we talk about television and cable, y'all know cable is not a basic need. Yeah, cable is not a basic need. You really can survive without cable. And especially if your budget comes out negative, you might have to do without cable for a while. You may have to do without the newest iPhone for a while. So that's we talk about basic. And so you'll see in the first section, after you have your income and you put down your basic needs, then line 3 says, do you still have income left that's available for your wants? And I hope after you finish your first section, hopefully a lot of you still have income left that says, okay, I'm making enough to take care of my basic needs. So now let's move to my wants. What are my wants? Well, your wants now might be that cable, that extra cable section. So there is where you put the cable and the satellite TV. Because remember, you can do without it. If you need to, you have to make decisions about what you can do without. If you really, sincerely are trying to get out of debt, you're going to have to make some hard decisions about things that you can do without. And I know I hear it all the time. Well, it's only $200, right? But $200 a month would go a long way toward paying off those credit cards that you can't do anything but pay the minimum for. And so it's the same thing with your cellular phone. You don't have to have that unlimited and all these features and all the stuff that you half use anyway, right? Yeah, that's me, right? So that's what we're trying to get you to start thinking through. The barber and the salon. You can do your own hair. I know we don't like to, but what are we trying to do? Figure out how we can have the best budget that I can live with. And again, it's like anything else. You can't have it so tight that you're not going to stick to it. But you have to be realistic about what is your goal, which means some of you will be able to be a lot more flexible than others because you're not as tight as others are. So, if you're behind the gun or you're in the hole and you got to get out, you might have to tighten your belt just a little tighter than some others may have to. And instead of getting your nails done every week, put the pop-ons on or do your own nails. But try and when you look at your wants, be sensitive to, I got to take care of my basic needs first. And so you see the line items that are there that we say are your wants. And then again, you subtract that, and hopefully you got some more money left. Most of us, by that time, you might be finished and you might not have any money left to go to your desires. But if you do, your desires are going to be those things like, okay, now maybe I can upgrade from the Kia or the Hyundai or whatever Hoopty you may have been driving for the last 10 years. And I can move up now to a car that I've been wanting forever. So a no car payment or a $100, $200 car payment may now be able to move up to that $800 car payment because you can see that you can afford it. Your charitable giving. We're not talking about tithes, but we're talking about being able to participate maybe in sororities and fraternities or Goodwill or food bank or, Bishop saying, can you give me an extra $20? People always talk about offerings over and beyond the tithes. Well, this is what we're talking about here at your charitable giving. And if you have a budget such that you got flexibility in it, you'll be able to take care of that. Same thing with your health club and gym memberships. How many people signed up for a health membership beginning of the year? They automatically hitting your credit card every month and you ain't been to the gym at all. Cancel it. You can do your jumping jacks at home without a gym. You can run around the block without a gym.
For that.
There it is. The 7-minute app. I'm telling y'all, download that app. I downloaded that app. It's called the 7-minute app.
7-minute workout.
It got your own trainer that talks to you. You can work on different parts of your body and you can do it right there in the privacy of your home. I'm loving it. So that's free. 7-minute app.
7-minute workout.
And 7-minute workout. And so you can get rid of that health club membership right off the bat. So you can see how I've set up the basic budgeting format to help you to determine what's important and what's not. Now, again, what's important to you may not be important to me, but whatever it is, you have to be the one to stick to it and make the numbers work. And of course, when you get to the end, you got the select few that even after their basic needs, wants, and desires may still have money left. We're going to have a little prize for maybe some of you who've been such good stewardships that you're there. But most of us, by the time we get here, we at negative. And of course, that's where you got to back up, backtrack, change some of the numbers, make some hard decisions. Because when you get to the end, we want you to be able to at least balance so that you know that if you stick to this, you can pay your bills and you can reach the goals that you're looking for. And of course, as we said, you can always add lines where you can add additional stuff. Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to catch up again on these. Should we?
I know, lots of questions. Some of them we may have to get to next week. We're going to take a look at some of these now.
Yeah, we're taking a look through the chat now at some of the questions that you have. Somebody suggested that Wells Fargo has a good budget creator as well.
Okay.
Groceries have gone.
Yes, you don't have. Yes. You do not have to use our budget. If you got an app or Wells or any banker has a budget program that you like, please feel free to use it. All we want you to do is to come back with a budget. That's it. Yes, absolutely.
Someone says, should we average the number to calculate our monthly grocery bill?
Yes, use an average. That's fine.
Everything has increased since COVID. I've seen groceries have increased. Absolutely. However, other things should have decreased. So maybe your eating out has decreased unless you cooked a lot and then you didn't eat out a lot. So hopefully there is some balance there. But I'm sure I know grocery bills have definitely increased since COVID. And so a budget is never concrete.
Correct. I was going to say that.
Your budget for COVID may be a little different than what your budget post-COVID or outside of COVID would look like. So
it can change.
Absolutely. And it's first of all, this is yours to own, so you can change it as much as you desire to. This project will just kind of help you get a good guide for where we are currently. So if you budget $1,000 for groceries this month because of COVID, and then prayerfully March 2021, we're out of COVID and life has gone back to normal, and then your monthly bill goes down to $750 because y'all aren't in the house and looking at the kids eating everything in the cabinet all day, then you'll be able to adjust your budget again. But you can adjust your budget as much, as often, as little as you truly desire to.
Please don't put together this budget and then throw it in the drawer. This is something you should be monitoring at least every pay period. We pull hours out once a month. We pull hours out and take a look at where we are and if we're on track, because that's what it's for.
For medical health benefit insurance, are we calculating what is being taken out of our paycheck? So if that's a deduction that comes directly out of your paycheck and you never have to actually pay it yourself, I wouldn't include that in the budget at all. I would just take your final net, whatever you actually see hit your bank account, and start from there with your budget.
Correct.
Let me see. Can we add couponing session? You know what? I have actually never couponed before, but I have seen people do it, and I think that's a great way to kind of get into.
I think Dr. Scott had a whole couponing group thing once before.
I thought we had one.
So we'll pass it on to Dr. Scott, because I know they did a big couponing session before. Somebody said they canceled their gym already while we were online. Yeah. Very good. Very good.
All right. So I don't see any other questions. If I missed your question, please go ahead and put it back in the chat. I'm trying to, we had a lot of comments. I'm trying to make sure I didn't. Yep. So, tank of gas last minute. See, yes, somebody's.
And on the gas, this is a good one. This is a personal experience. I don't know if the bishop is up here or not. We used to give each other a part of our budget. We figured out, and as we used to say years ago, $50 would fill up each of our gas tanks. So we used to give each other $50 when we were divvying out allowances and stuff like that. We give each other $50 to gas up, fill up the gas tank so that you could get to work until the next pay period. Because where we each work a tank of gas a week, could get us back and forth. Well, I would take my $50 and I would go fill up my gas tank.
He wouldn't.
Bishop would take his $50 and put $10 worth of gas in there and put the $40 in this. But look at all y'all. Oh, I done hit a nerve and put $40 in his pocket. Well, then he would go to the store and buy some chips and a soda with his $40 and then come back Wednesday talking about, well, I need some gas to get to work. I'm like, well, where is your $50? Well, I done spent it. Well, you can't say no because that's what you want to say, but you can't say no because you got to go to work. So that is just so unfair to this whole budgeting thing, and I mean that's just not right. So that's why we mean by don't play games, y'all. If $50 is the gas, fill your gas tank up. There are lots of little games we can all play to come back to get more money. And if that means we got to take debit cards away from spouses who can't pass the ATM without using it, you got to be honest enough to give up that ATM card.
Hold on, y'all have said a lot, but the ATM, I'm gonna start with the ATM. Stop going to ATMs that's not your bank ATM that's charging you to take your own money out, because that's another one of them unbudgeted expenses. Excuse me. You got to go to 7-Eleven and get $20 out, and they're gonna charge you $5 to take your $20 out. So now you down $25.
Correct.
I had learned the hard way. And then she said that their wife Janet coupon. So I'm not sure if y'all want to connect, and she can maybe give you some tips on couponing. And last thing is Miss Chavez mentioned, this has been a lifesaver for me. She said she uses Instacart and Shipt to do her grocery order. And so for me, I place my order like I shop at Kroger. So I'll place the order online and go pick it up. So I don't have to go in the grocery store most times. And that has saved me
a lot.
So much money because I'm not in the grocery store
saying,
these chips look good. Right. Oh, let me try this food. Let me try this food. Let me try this drink. Let me try that drink. And so I purposely try and shop down that way so that I can control my spending and not just think I'm going to only spend $100 and get to the register and now I've spent $150. So that's another good tip. for your budgeting as well. How do you account for unexpected funds that may come into the house? You don't. That should not. I do not make that a part of my budget because it's not routine.
That's correct. Unexpected money. I tell y'all this all the time. Is a good jump on either hopefully paying down a credit card, or a lump sum into your savings that you could not manage to squeeze out of your budget. So you got an extra $100 that came in, throw it in the savings account. Why? Because now you're well ahead. It was unexpected. It wasn't a part of your budget, so you can use it back. Again, I'm not telling you to be so literal that it hurts. If an extra 100 came in, put 50 in there and blow the other 50. That's okay too, because you're still ahead 50. But don't blow all of the extra money because you say, oh, we got some extra money. No, be wise about it and share it, spend it, save some of it. Okay.
And then somebody, Miss John noted that you can get points from Kroger and Harris Teeter and gas. So be smart too about, even where you're shopping or what, credit cards and things you're using. Cause I know she loves credit cards where I can get points then I'll either get cash back or I can trade them in for gift cards. So now when my friends want to go out to eat, I'll say, well, I got Bonefish gift cards, so it sounds like we're going to Bonefish.
That's correct.
So that kind of stuff helps also offset your budget because now it's like free money.
And we'll be talking more about that when we be talking about credit repair and credit cards. Yes, but those are all great tips.
And then I just want to share one more thing. I don't know if Elder's would get to it in a later thing. But one of the budgeting tips that she always swears by until you can be disciplined enough to not swipe your card for everything is she will tell you to use the envelope system. So if you have 10 items listed on your budget, she's going to tell you to get 10 envelopes and fund each envelope. So if you allot $50 for gas, in your gas envelope, you need to put $50. If you budget $150 for your utilities, then you need to put that $150 in your utilities envelope. And as it's time to pay those bills, pay it. So then when your friends ask you to go somewhere, you look in that entertainment envelope and see you got $5. Well, we better go to the movies on Wednesday where it's $5.
Correct.
Or I cannot participate unless somebody is going
to You do not swipe. Swiping is the worst thing that people have done.
And if you do, what I try to do, because again, most times at this point, companies take payment online. So if I pay my utility bill online, I take that money out of my envelope and put it into my bank account because it's not for me to spend anymore.
Correct. All right. Well, I got 8 o'clock on the dot, so we're going to hold to that. We still have a few quite a bit of comments. We're going to take the time, Kimberly and I, even after we sign off, to make sure that we have your questions. We'll be addressing them. If you saw our email down there, please send us emails of things you want us to do and add to our conversation. You see, we're going to be emailing you that tracker sheet. We're going to email you the budget, but feel free to use any budget worksheet that you like. We want you to come back on our next session on September the 23rd with your budget completed and your tracker filled in for the day. Honestly, with what you've tracked. And we're going to massage and talk through and walk through budgets so that everybody has a good budget that they can work from that point forward, as well as addressing and answering all the remaining questions that have come through and that will be emailed to us over the next 2 weeks.
And I was just informed that the video is up on YouTube for this session. So if you want to go back to rewatch, or if you missed something, you can definitely subscribe to the Mount Global's YouTube page where this will be posted. And
with that, can you pray us out?
Sure. Lord God, we thank you for the opportunity to gather tonight. We pray, Elder and I pray that everything that we said was pleasing to you and would help progress your children, God. We thank you for the opportunity, God, to come together to become our best selves, God, and live the way that you have designed us to live prosperously, God. And we pray that you help each and every person that participates in this course to continue to discipline themselves and adhere to the principles that have been established, God, so that they can be their best self, God, and continue to progress the kingdom and be a blessing to many, Lord. We love you and we thank you, God. We ask that you keep us through the night, God. Continue to keep our homes safe, our families safe, Lord. We love you and we thank you for everything you've done and all that you're going to do, Lord. We love you. In the name of Jesus, I pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Good night, y'all. Have a great week. We'll see you next time. Bye. Love y'all.